सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. We said the background of the Bhagavad Gita. We said last class, in fact, I brought the Mahabharata volume, okay, and I can show it to you after the class. I put section header there, you can actually open and see where the Gita comes, etc. Right? It is part of Bhishma Parva, and it is actually a flashback after Bhishma falls. When Dhritarashtra comes to know that Bhishma has fallen, that is when he asks, how did this happen, and then it is the whole story, right? So Mahabharata is part of Itihasa, and it has 100,000 verses almost, and Gita is about 700 verses right in the middle, right? And I also clarified that Gita refers to any scriptural literature whose content is spiritual teaching. So other Gitas which are quite famous, Uddhava Gita, Anu Gita, Rama Gita, Jayanteya Gita, etc. Everywhere the teaching will be in the form of a dialogue between two people whom we would know, right? As part of Itihasa or Purana. We said the background of the Bhagavad Gita. We said last class, in fact, I brought the Mahabharata volume, okay, and I can show it to you after the class. I put section header there, you can actually open and see where the Gita comes, etc. Right? It is part of Bhishma Parva, and it is actually a flashback after Bhishma falls. When Dhritarashtra comes to know that Bhishma has fallen, that is when he asks, how did this happen, and then it is the whole story, right? So Mahabharata is part of Itihasa, and it has 100,000 verses almost, and Gita is about 700 verses right in the middle, right? And I also clarified that Gita refers to any scriptural literature whose content is spiritual teaching. So other Gitas which are quite famous, Uddhava Gita, Anu Gita, Rama Gita, Jayanteya Gita, etc. Everywhere the teaching will be in the form of a dialogue between two people whom we would know, right? As part of Itihasa or Purana. Then Gita itself is in a dialogue form, and it's between Krishna and Arjuna. 99% or 98% of the dialogue is between Krishna and Arjuna. There are a few people who come in between and speak and go, especially when both of them are silent, right? Because somebody needs to keep it going. And the 18 chapters, smallest has 20 verses, largest has 78 verses. Seal is the Mahabharata battle seal, and it actually belongs to the 6th book of Mahabharata, chapters 23 to 40 of Bhishma Parva. And the context of the rest of the war is, in any case, graphically depicted in chapter 1, which we are going to see very, very elaborately. So then I went into the Dhyana Shloka, and I said, normally before any major scriptural work, right, you will have a Dhyana Shloka where you pray to God. Now, because Gita happens to come right in the middle of Mahabharata, the Dhyana Shloka is coming at the beginning of Mahabharata, but not at the beginning of Gita, because Gita is right in between the war, right? So, several centuries later, when Madhusudana Saraswati wrote a commentary called Gudhartha Deepika, he introduced this Dhyana Shloka, and it is a practice now for us to chant the Dhyana Shloka before the Gita, and that is what we are learning now. We are going to see the meaning of it. We are also chanting. The idea is, by the time we enter into the first chapter, at least you can follow with me, and we will learn the words by the end of the Gita. It's a very, very beautiful prayer. Okay, you will see the meaning, because we only started out last class. So it's part of Gudhartha Deepika, 9 verses, and we only saw the first one, which was in praise of Mahabharata. First it praises Mahabharata, because Mahabharata only has given us this Gita. So that is one verse. Then in 2 verses we praise Gita itself, right? Then we praise Vyasacharya for having given us this, and then we praise, of course, the hero of the Gita, who is Krishna himself in verses 3, 5, 6, 8 and 9. Right? So this is this and the first verse we had covered in the last class. Right? As part of Mahabharata Namaskara, we were talking about Mahabharata being compared to a huge lotus. Now when you open the book, you will see the corresponding meanings for each of the words. Now Mahabharata is compared to a huge lotus. Therefore, everything else in that, right? Bharata Pankajam in the last line represents the Mahabharata, right? All the others are, as I said, adjectives to this word, lotus, okay? So we said it is born out of Mahabharata, it is born out of Paracharya Vachas Sarojam. That means Paracharya is Parashara Putra, it is born out of Vyasa. Parashara's son was Vyasa, and he was also Vasishta's grandson, right? So that you will see in Vishnu Sahasranam, Vyasam Vasishta Nakaram, right? So we saw Paracharya Vachas Sarojam was one of them. Then we also looked at how the Bharata Pankajam has no Shabda Dosha or Artha Dosha. It is so perfect, right? And we also saw that it attracts, lot of honeybees, like the lotus attract lot of honeybees. All the Satpurushas get attracted towards Gita, and once they start understanding that, each time new meaning gets unraveled, right? Then we also said any flower will have multiple filaments. So all the various Mahabharata stories like Nala Damayanti, Satyavan Savitri, all of these are like the filaments or petals of the flower. Right? So this we covered last time, and so the meaning of this was that may the pure lotus of Mahabharata, which was born in the lake of the words of Vyasa, which is rich with fragrance of the import of the Gita, which is many episodes of its filaments, which is expanded through the narration of Hari's stories, Krishna's stories, which is always drunk day after day joyously by the deeds of noble people around the world, and which is the destroyer of the impurities of Kali Yuga every hour for our supreme good. So the first Namaskara is for Mahabharata. Okay. The next one is Gita Namaskara. Okay. Let us stand this. I will stop after 2 words, then you can continue. Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyatena Kratitam Purana Munina Vyatena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadyayini Ambaswamanukandadhami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshini. So this happens to be the very first word, right? So we start with Gita Namaskara as the first word, okay? So what is the Acharya saying here, right? Here the Acharya first says, Hey Bhagavad Gita Amba. He is addressing Bhagavad Gita as the mother, right? We look upon scriptures as the mother because the glory of the mother is the mother feeds the child and nourishes the body of the child. Similarly, Gita is also going to nurture the people who are interested in scriptures. And the beautiful thing is, just like the mother knows when to give, semi-solid, when to give liquid, when to give solid food, right? It is in the form of what? Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Therefore, Gita is compared to a mother who can appropriately keep changing according to the maturity of the person at that time. So, Gita is compared to a mother. Right? This is the reason. Right? And so, for what purpose am I dependent on you and I am praying to you? It is because in Kali Yuga, this is a stress buster. This will be the only scriptural teaching which we will have even little bit of time, because there is so much of work and we are running around other things. If we are able to even study Gita once, that itself we should consider as our blessing, right? And it is like a enemy or it's a great antidote to all the samsara problems, right? Now, what are the glories of this Gita? Why is it so great? One, Arjuna himself being great. We talk about Arjuna here. The teaching to a great person itself must be great. And then the teacher is Sakshat Narayana himself. And Vyasacharya, the reporter, is also a Vishnu Avatara. Right? So, I don't know how many of you would have notice this when you are telling Vishnu Sahasranama Jnana Slokam, right? So, it is Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave, right? So, and then Vyasam Vasishtha Nataram. So, it shows that the grandson plus the reporter is Vyasacharya is Vishnu's avatara only in a form, right? So, Partaya Pratibodhitam. Right? It is a great teaching imparted to Arjuna, who is one of the Pandavas. Why Partaya? Because Kunti was also called Prita. Kunti's name was Prita. Prita is the Sanskrit name of Kunti, another name, right? So, Prita's Putraha is Partha. That is how the name comes, right? And so this Gita teaching has been received by Arjuna, and after that, the student, the teaching, the teacher and the reporter all are great in their own way. Okay? And then Purana Munina. Now, Purana Munina, very important. Mahabharata is not a Purana. It is Itihasa. Okay? But why is he called Purana Munina? Rishi of Puranas, because he has written the 18 Puranas and the Upa Purana. He is known for being a Purana Munina, right? He is a great Rishi who has composed the Purana, right? But here this is an Itihasa, he is composing it. Therefore, all Puranas are written by Vyasacharya, right? So, and there the Gita is right in the middle of Mahabharata, right? And it has 18 chapters, right? And it covers the knowledge of Advaita, which is divine, and which is the repeller of samsara, the problem of samsara. At this stage, we are just praying as part of Jnana Shloka. Madhusudana Saraswati is chanting Gita, praying to Gita as a mother. You are like a mother who is, doing all this for dispelling the samsara bhavaroga in the form of Advaita knowledge. Right? So, it is a prayer. Yeah. This was a Jnana Shloka which was added on later. Okay, and I don't even know, I haven't checked with Swamiji whether this was intended as a Jnana Shloka. Madhusudana Saraswati, when he was writing the commentary of Gudhartha Deepika, wrote this at the very beginning of the commentary. So it is used as a Jnana Shloka. On Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. It's not connected directly. It is Bhashyam of Gita. Shankara Bhashyam. So the Bhashyam of Gita, even if it's a commentary editor, he is included the 4 Namaskara. So because he did not have any Jnana Shloka for Gita traditionally, they all chant. I think it's more like Swami Chinmayananda popularized this, and then all of us follow that. I don't know whether people before that used it, I don't know, right? But this is a tradition. So let's just go over the meaning one. So, O Mother Bhagavad Gita, I constantly meditate upon you, which was taught to Arjuna by Bhagavan Narayana himself, which was incorporated in the middle of Mahabharata by Vyasacharya, an ancient sage. Ancient is another meaning for Purana, okay? But the other one is the author of the Purana, which consists of 18 chapters, which covers the ambrosial knowledge of Advaita, which is divine and which is the repeller of samsara. This is the first Gita Namaskara, right? Yes. Yeah. No, see, very important for you to know. Always you have to fix an answer. Okay. So for any interpretation. Now the answer for the entire teaching, right, if you see, is Shankara Bhashyam and the traditional acharyas who came in that line. So if you see, whatever I say will be only aligned to that. Now, maybe Swamiji would have interpreted based on this, and that's what I'm saying. If you, for instance, say go to Madhvacharya or somebody else, then interpretation will be totally different. So if I'm going by a Purana meaning, then I'm going by whatever Swamiji is being communicated. Purana normal meaning is ancient. So the second one now. Sarvopanishado Gava, Sarvopanishado Gava, Dogda Gopalanandana, Dogda Gopalanandana, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdham Geetamritam Mahat, Dugdham Geetamritam Mahat. Now you might be wondering why when I read, sometimes I read Gavo, sometimes I read Gavaha. That is because if you read without a breath, then you should read as Gavo, because it is Sandhi. If you read with the breath and split, it will be Sarvopanishado Gavaha, Dogda Gopalanandana. Okay, so we stick to this. Now, the Gita Amritam, right? Now this one is Chanda 4 onwards. The order has been rearranged so that we can go in that particular. Yeah? So in this, if you see, the Gita Amritam, right? Gita is like a milk, which is considered to be a complete food in itself. Right? It has protein, it has carbohydrates, everything. So like that, Gita milk is also complete in all respects, right? And it has the saram of all the Upanishads, right? Sarvopanishado Gava, right? All the Upanishad saram is there within the milk. And who is the milkman who is milking this cow? That is Lord Krishna, right? Lord Krishna. And for whom is the milkman? The cow is Arjuna. And not only Arjuna, like the cow gives milk to so many others, it is meant for the entire humanity. So beautifully this is going to see, right? And the word Upanishad itself means the destroyer of samsara. Upanishad, right? That means the destroyer of samsara. So it promotes Atma Jnana, right? So that is in the form of milk, right? And Gopalanandana is a cowherd boy, right? So the meaning of this particular stanza is all the Upanishads are cows, Krishna is the milker, Arjuna is the calf, the supreme nectar of Gita is the milk. Right? The milk is extracted from the cow, the Upanishad, and Krishna is the milker, Arjuna is the calf, and the pure-minded one is the partaker along with Arjuna. Right? That is the meaning of this shloka. That is the beauty of Sanskrit. Sanskrit itself is a very, very beautiful language. I'm just reading some advanced grammar and I'm realizing that they can actually compress some 10-12 words into just 4, 3, which is really the beauty of the language. Right? And also the passive voice. So let's move on to the next shloka. Okay, before that, so I just put down some of these important points here, so you can take a look at it. We already covered this. Okay. Now we finished 2 Gita Namaskaras. Right? So now we will move on. We finished 1 Mahabharata Namaskara. We finished 2 Gita Namaskaras. Now we are moving to Vyasa Namaskara. Okay? Namostute Vyasa Vitala Buddhe. Namostute Vyasa Vitala Buddhe. Kullara Vindaya Tapatra Netra. Kullara Vindaya Tapatra Netra. Ena Swaya Bharata Daina Purnaha. Ena Swaya Bharata Daina Purnaha. Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha. Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha. Now this is Namaskara to Vyasacharya. Okay. Now Vyasacharya is called Veda Vyasacharya, and the reason why he is called Vyasa is, in Sanskrit it is Vedan Vidiyasa Iti Vyasa. That means he was the one who split the Vedas into 4. Because it was so vast and he felt that people could not study it, he was the one who split it into 4 and said, each one of you study at least your part of the Veda. At least that much you do. And it's only even that portion we are not reading now. That is the best part.
No, that portion itself is not fully available. They are only
only 20,000 verses are there. In that Atharvana Veda, hardly anybody says. In fact, you have to go in search of them. After a very long time, when I was in Varanasi, I found a Atharvana Vedi. I have never even heard of Atharvana Vedis in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai. I have not seen. Maybe I am not aware. The first time I saw that. So, the rest of the 3, right? You should be having the rest of the verses. And Samaveda, anyway, you have to, sing in a way. So, that is even more difficult. So, maybe Vyasacharya knew all of this is going to happen, right? So, he was the one who put it into 4 streams. And he said, Vaidikas, you specialize in your stream and do your job well, that is more than enough, right? So, he is called the Vyasa. Okay? Because otherwise, before that, he is only Krishna Dvaipayana. Then after that, he was named Vyasacharya, which is a title. Okay?
Dvaipayana and so on is another meaning of Veda Vyasa.
That's what Krishna Dvaipayana.
What is the meaning of Krishna Dvaipayana? That day I found out.
Dvaipayana, I think Ayanam means I know. I don't know. Ravi? Dvaipayana?
I believe that he was born in an island in the Kansas River. Dweepa.
Dvaipayana from Dweepa, from island. Quite possible. Right? I'll anyway check and come back. Right? Okay. Now, is Namostute Vyasa Vitala Buddhe. Krishna Dvaipayana is one. Namostute Vyasa Vitala Buddhe. We are saying Vyasa is this Vitala Buddhi. Because he has so much in his head, right? So he has a Vitala Buddhi. And we are also saying that he has Aravinda Netram, right? We are saying that Kullara Vinda Yata Patra Netram, right? Basically, we are saying that he has beautiful eyes, right? Basically, he is not considered to be a greatly handsome person and all. Okay, but the inner beauty of Vyasacharya is expressed figuratively as his outer facial beauty. That's all. So Madhusudana Saraswati describes that part of Vyasa. Right? Enastvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha. Mahabharatam is in the form of the oil for the Jnanamaya Deepaha. Right? So that is the meaning of this. So basically I am offering Namaskara to you who is a Jnanamaya Pradeepaha. You shine so much because you are lighted up with a huge lamp of knowledge, and the oil is the Mahabharata. Right? So that is the meaning of this. Right? So we look upon Vyasacharya as the great avatara of Mahavishnu. So Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanive Vasishtaya Namo Namaha. Vasishtaya is of course the lineage of Vasishtha. Right? So this is Vyasa Namaskara. The meaning is, O Vyasacharya, with vast knowledge and with eyes as large as petals of the full-blown lotus, salutations to you by which you have lighted the lamp of wisdom, filled with the oil of Mahabharata.
What is the Ullada Vindaya Patra Netra Kanna?
It's open, so beautifully open. Ullada. Right? Ullada Vinda Ayata Patra Netra means one whose eyes are wide like the petals of the lotus. Right? That is that. It's wide eyed. So that is Vyasa Namaskara. So now we will move on to the 5 Namaskaras of Krishna. Right? And the first one. Prapanna Parijataya Prapanna Parijataya Stotra Vetraikapanai Stotra Vetraikapanai Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduje Namaha Geetamritaduje Namaha. Now here we are offering Namaskara to Lord Krishna. Krishna has got again several meanings. The most common one is the dark complexioned one. Right? So from this we see that dark complexioned people are not necessarily bad looking or anything. We never had this problem in the earlier years. Right? Draupadi also was a dark complexioned person and she was considered to be a very beautiful lady. Krishna. She was called Krishna. Anybody who is dark complexion used to be called Krishna, right? So Krishna was dark, but it didn't mean that he was supposed to be the most handsome of all people, right? And the other meaning of Krishna is attractive, akarshanam, right? One who has akarshanam, one who is able to attract all people towards himself, because being the embodiment of Ananda, right? So that is the other meaning. Right? Krishna's name. That is, he is called a magnetic personality. Right? And then Prapanna Parijataya. Parijata is the name of a mythological tree. Okay, not this tree that we see in the whole world. That mythological tree is a very unique tree where I believe in heaven you can see it, and if you stand under the tree and ask for anything, your wish will be granted. Parijata tree is a wish yielding tree. Okay? So all the wishes would be fulfilled. Right? So here Madhusudana Saraswati is saying Lord Krishna is like Parijata tree. Whatever you ask, he will give you. Now if you ask for what we learned about, we would also see that different types of bhakti, right? Artha bhakti, Artha bhakti, we will see in basically in Gita, you will see 4 types of bhakti. Okay? Artha bhakti, Artha bhakti, Arthachi bhakti, Jnanasu bhakti and Jnani bhakti. Artha bhakti is the meanest kind of bhakti, in the sense that you always ask for something in return, right? And Artharthi bhakti is, of course, you do prayers, but mostly for materialistic benefits only. And from there you move to Jnanasu bhakti, where you pray, you ask for Samadhi Sampatti or for Sadhana Sudhishaya, one of the two, that is Vijnasa Bhakti, because you want to gain Jnana. Then the Jnani Bhakti is doing prayers and devotion for Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu and for general Loka skill, right? So, depending on what you ask, Lord Krishna is going to grant. That's what is being said here, right? So, Prapanna Parijata means exactly that, right? So, for those who surrender to him, for Prapannana, for those who surrender, Parijata tree, he is like a Parijata tree who will grant the wishes, right? All the four Purusharthas. What are the four Purusharthas? Dharma, and Moksha. Okay? And then what is Sotra Vetrai Kapane? Sotra Vetrai Kapane is holding the whip. When did he hold the whip? He held the whip for the chariot along with Arjuna, right? And then subsequently he became Jnana Mudraya Krishna. He was the man who propagated the teaching. He was the Jagat Guru, right? So he actually took out the milk from the Gita nectar, Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. He milked the Gita nectar out and the form of Jnanam and to give it to Arjuna. But initially he was the chariot, he was the driver, he was at the same level. Then the turn happened. When Arjuna moved from saying, hey friend, to the Guru, when he treated him as Guru and surrendered unto him, then the change happened and Krishna started giving him the teaching, right? Now what is Jnana Mudraya? This is very important. After this, maybe when you go to the Dakshinamurti Sannidhi in the temple, you will look at it very differently. Now Jnana Mudram is this. Okay? Thin Mudra is Jnana Mudra. Now what does this signify? Now you can go and teach people, and if you can teach people, then you have understood introduction to Vedanta very well. Okay? Now with these three, this is Sharira Trayam. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Shariram. This is Paramatma. Okay? This is Jivatma. Now your Jivatma is normally attached with the Sharira Trayam, right? If you bring it like this and close this, you are Purnaha. Right? So if you hold it like this and bring it like this, you are Purnaha, representing Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam. So this is Jnana Mudra. That's what I said. If somebody asks you the Tathparyam and you are able to explain this and the other person is able to understand in less than 10 hours of class, right? Then we are all great teachers. I think the minimum is that 10 hours. You have to patiently travel. Only then you will be able to relate. Otherwise, if I say Sharira Trayam Jivatma Paramatma, what sense does it make? Right? So discerning. Right? So that is the meaning of Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya. Right?
So, as you say, this is the same sloka. Is there any context to why Krishna is supposed to be a charioteer rather than a warrior, or was it on Arjuna's focus, or
there is therefore exactly this Parijata. Okay, God is there. He grants you what you wish. It's a very important lesson in Mahabharata that you learn. The first option was given, the first choice to Duryodhana. Duryodhana chose materialistic pleasures, and materialistic means he asked for all the army and warriors and all the people. He asked, right? And similarly, Bhishma, Drona, all of them were indebted in a way to Krishna, to Duryodhana. Therefore, they all fought that side. But they all knew that Dharma was on this side. And Duryodhana asked for all of Krishna's things. And Arjuna was very happy to get Krishna on the side. So,
without fighting, you can choose my army.
correct.
You can fight for you.
Krishna said, I will not fight. Either you choose me or you choose my army. He chose the army. Yeah. Whereas
he is not fighting all the people of Krishna.
actually, if you see,
this is only numbers.
yeah. Finally, if you see the Mahabharata, all the turning points, all, you will see Krishna giving advice. And you might think for a second, oh my God, Krishna is not fair. No, he gave the choice. I will not fight, I will be there. That is all fine, but finally Duryodhana chose the materialistic side. Forget everything else, right? He wanted the army. So Lord Krishna said, I will be there. He didn't say I will stay silent. He said I will not fight.
So
do you know that Bhishma, Duryodhana could not discern, but look at Bhishma. Bhishma knew that this was Lord Krishna. The entire Mahabharata, until he fell, he tried to get killed by Krishna. He could never achieve it because Krishna would not kill him, right? Because he knew Bhagavan would kill.
And no, when he was about to go against him, Bhishma was quite clear to the Bhagavats are getting designated representative. Then Bhishma said, Krishna said, I am going to put an end to this, I am going to kill Bhishma. Arjuna said, you have taken a oath not to fight. It is my job to fight.
And Bhishma also tried to level best to get killed by Krishna. You should see the Mahabharata. Because he knows it is God, right? Bhishma, Drona, all of them.
Bhishma knew the entire Mahabharata before Pandavas were born. Because he knew that these were all going to happen, but he was bound by his war.
Very interesting to read the whole Mahabharata. Anyway, we should come back to our Jnana Yoga. There's still story left. Okay? So this was Chinmudra. We were speaking about Chinmudra. And the other important Dakshinamurti is representative of Chinmudra in the temple. So when you go and look at Dakshinamurti who is facing the south side, he is also a Chinmudra Swarupa, then you will remember this also in that context. I remember you and Maruneshwara temple where we met that day. So I remember that. So there is a praharam on the side, you have Dakshinamurti. Okay. Then this is the second Krishna Namaskara. The third Krishna Namaskara will take time, that's why I am trying to go fast. Vasudevasutam Devam Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Now again, the glory of Krishna Avatara is talked about here. The point that is being brought out in this shloka is that Krishna has played multiple roles, okay, and all of them very successfully. And amongst all avatars, Krishna Avatara is really great because he did this multi-role film, right? If you look at Varaha Avatara, Kuma Avatara, all very small roles, same accomplished vendors. Even Rama Avatara is not as all-encompassing as Krishna Avatara. Yes, it is much larger than that. So in Krishna Avatara, if you see, he has played so many roles. Friend, son, right? Father, right? Brother, right? So many things, if you see. So if you see the glory of Krishna Avatara, he has done all of these incarnations and he's been a great teacher. I left that, Jagadguru, in the form of Gita-Upadesha, right? So therefore, if you see, this is, and he's also been a destroyer of the bad people, right? So Vasudevasutam Devam, here we are referring to Vasudeva's son Vasudevam, right? Vasudevam son Vasudevam. And Kamsa Chanura Mardanam, having killed Kamsa and Chanura, the two Rakshasas, Devaki Paramananda, the one who has given so much of happiness to Devaki as a mother, Krishna Vande Jagadguru. He is also being a great teacher, Jagadguru of the Jnana Yoga. Right? So, society level also he contributed. Family level also he contributed. Individual level also he contributed. He has done everything in Krishna Avatar. Right? So that is why this Namaskara is important. So I salute Lord Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva, who is the destroyer of Kamsa and Samura, who is the supreme Ananda of Devaki, and who is the teacher of the world. This is Krishna Namaskara 2. This is 5th canto. Next we go to the 6th canto. Bhishmadrona Jayadratha Bhishmadrona Jayadratha Gandhara Shalyagramavati Krutena Vahani Shalyagramavati Krutena Vahani Karnena Velakula Karnena Velakula Ashwatthama Vikarna Ghora Makara Ashwatthama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhanavartini Sohina Khalu Pandavairananadi Sohina Khalu Pandavairananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Kaivartaka Keshavaha. Now we are going to see some very important characters here in the Mahabharata. Okay, so it's been very beautifully woven if you see this entire sloka, right? So if you see, you have first of all Rananadi. The entire war is, the battle is compared to a river. Okay, Rananadi is the Nadi. Okay, and the boatman is Lord Krishna. Okay, so you see, Mahabharata battle is compared to a huge, mighty river which is flooded. Okay, and then we have Krishna as the boatman, right? And then it has been crossed over by the Pandavas, right? This much we know. Now, all the rest are what kind of a battle it was.
Where is it saying that Krishna is the boatman in that?
I will. Rananati Kaivartaka Keshavaha. In the last line, right? If you see, Lord Krishna was the ferryman of the river. So that is the last line. The last half of this verse talks about Krishna being the ferryman on this particular river, which is the Rananadi, right? Now, Pandavas were the ones who crossed over. Now, the description of the river is conveyed in this sloka, right? Now, I asked you all to do some homework last week, right? Because I said we should know these characters. No problem, I will go over them, okay? Now, some of the important characters, Jayadratha, right? Who was Jayadratha? Jayadratha was Duryodhana's sister's husband, okay? Sister Dushala's husband is Jayadratha. Now, there is a very big story behind Jayadratha. Jayadratha was a very bad man, but he happened to be Dushala's husband. And also, when Draupadi was alone in the forest, he misbehaved with her and he actually took her away from there. And the Pandavas had to come, and Arjuna actually wanted to kill Jayadratha. Okay? But Draupadi prevailed upon him, saying that The sister-in-law will become widowed, so you should not do this. And so therefore there is some insult they have around that, and then he goes back, he's feeling very insulted and wounded. So that's the story behind Jayadratha, why he is a wounded tiger, right? Yeah, something they did something. Yeah. So that is Jayadratha, right? Now other than Jayadratha, you also have Ashwath. This might have gone out. I'll anyway tell you. So this is Jayadratha. Then other than Jayadratha, you have Bhishma. Bhishma, all of you know. Bhishma is compared to the bank of the river. Okay. Drona is other bank of the river. One bank is Bhishma, other bank is Drona. Their stories I already told you. How both of them knew that they are going to do. But they still had to fight till the best. Bhishma was anyway the great grandfather, right? So Drona was the and they also had another Acharya. Jayadratha is compared to the deep waters, right? Because it's not very straight. So then Shakuni, you all know, is the Mama. He is compared to a blue lily. Okay? And Gandhara Nilotpalam, the prince of Gandhara, because he was Gandhari's brother, right? Gandhara Desha's son is compared to Nilotpalam, a blue lily, because he's so pleasant externally to look. And he can be very deceptive. Somebody goes after the blue lily in the center of the waters. The waters being Jayadratha and the blue lily being Shakuni, enough combination, right? So that is the best part of this. How nicely, there are two types of villain, one frowning and the other one is, laughing and smiling. You obviously know who's the laughing and smiling villain, whether he is David. That is Shakuni. Okay? So the blue lily flower in the river. Shalya Grahavati. Shalya, very interesting story. Now Shalya is Madri's brother. Madri is the first wife of Pandu. Right? Second wife of Pandu. Kunti is the first wife, Madri is the second wife. Now obviously they are all not on the scene now. Now what happened was Shalya got tricked into going with his entire army and staying in Duryodhana's palace. He didn't realize that it was Duryodhana. He thought that Yudhishthira and co had actually hosting him. He went and stayed there and he was cheated. So, and he said, he committed that he will do whatever the host wanted. So therefore he had to fight, misplaced, commitment, loyalty there. Not even a Duryodhana tricked him. Right? So because Shakuni gives ideas for all of this, right? So Shalya is actually the brother, Madhi's brother, right? So Nakula Sahadeva's mama was tricked into this by Shakuni and Duryodhana. Mainly Duryodhana ghosted him, right? And then got him on their side. So Shakuni, Shalya is compared to a shark. Okay? So Shalya is compared to a shark. Then Karna, you all know, he is compared to powerful wave. Right? That is, Karna is compared to the wave. Kripa is compared to the current. Now Kripa's sister Kripi is married to Drona. Right? The other side of it. Kripa also is their guru. Right? Oh. Kripa helps in certain war fights, skills. Right? And then you have Ashwathama, who's like a crocodile. Right? And Ashwathama is considered to be a Chiranjeevi even now. He's supposed to be living somewhere. Because there is no reference to his dying anywhere in the world. And they actually, afterwards Mahabharata takes a very bad turn. the way everybody, all the Pandavas were killed and all, it was all stealthy killing in the middle of the night. Very, very, very Pandavas killing how they so goes into a very bad, it was very, very bad. Overnight they killed, and Ashwatthama is one of the main plots. Yeah. Then Vikarna, right? The other interesting character. Who's Vikarna? He is like a crocodile. Vikarna is the third in the 100 Kauravas. Okay? He was the only person who stood up on Kaurava's side and said, what you are doing to Draupadi is incorrect. Right? So he has some sense of right and wrong, but he also fights. He has to fight on the side of Kaurava. And Duryodhana himself is compared to a whirlpool. Right? So these are all the characters who are mentioned here.
Every aspect of what it is covered.
And if you see, now you see the entire meaning, you can see that the battle river with Bhishma and Drona as the bank, with Jayadratha as the waters, with the king of Gandhara as the blue lotus, with Shalya as the shark, with Krupa as the current, with Karna as the highway, with Ashwatthama and Vikarna as terrible crocodiles, and with Duryodhana as the whirlpool, was indeed crossed over by the Pandavas. Lord Krishna was the fair man. This is the meaning of this sloka. Right? Krishna Namaskar.
One more time the verses.
Yeah.
Now we can.
भीष्मद्रोण तथा जयद्रथजना गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्रामवती कृपेण वाणी कर्णेन वेलाकुलाम् अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तत केशवः. Two of them are Madri. Right? Now we have two more slokas. So I'm just wondering if we can finish one more, the principal one, and then we will do the next one only in the next class. Okay? Mukam karoti vachalam, mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, pangum langayate girim, yatkripa tamaham vande, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् परमानन्दमाधवम्. Now this is something that you might have studied in school also, because it is a very, very common sloka. Now in this, the literal meaning of Muka is dumb, someone who is dumb, and Pangum is someone who is crippled. But the interpreted meaning of this is Mukam karoti vachalam is someone who does not have good communication skills, oral and listening skills, both, right? Such a person is referred to, and Mukam karoti vachalam, such a person becomes communicative, right? In your way, with your way. Pangum langayate girim, a person who does not have leadership skills, right? Is able to get leadership skills and cross over any obstacle that comes by. That is the interpreted meaning. But here it is, a cripple can cross over the mountain. Right? Yatkripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Right? So Madhavam is Lakshmipati. Right? Madhavam means is Lakshmipati. Right? So therefore, this is prayer to Krishna, who is the great Lakshmipati. Right? So let us look at the word meaning here. So if you see Pangum would be written that way, right? So if you see Pangum meaning, the literal meaning would be the crippled cross over the mountain, right? So Krishna, who is the supreme Ananda, who is the abode of supreme Ananda, who is Lakshmi Pati, Madhava means Lakshmi Pati, right? The exact meaning is Madhava, right? Ma means Lakshmi, Davaha means Pati. So wife of husband of Lakshmi, right? So is a personification of Ananda because he can bestow this kripa on us. He prostrate before Krishna.
Who is not able to talk musically, person who is physically can cross the mountain.
So the other meaning is one who doesn't have communication skills is blessed with communication skills. The one who does not have leadership skills, who cannot progress in life because of that, will be made to progress in life with that skill. That is the meaning, right, of this sloka. Now we have one more sloka to go for the Gita Dhyana sloka, which we will do in the next class, and then we will start the first chapter. We will try and do the background of the first chapter and then we will, right? Now let's say the Purnamada. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.